Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to talk about our single arm bench row with a kettlebell. Rows are an important exercise, but they are not the most important exercises. The most important exercises are our fundamental 6 exercises: our clean, our snatch, our swing, our press, our Turkish get up, and our squat. The row is a supporting exercise. In CrossFit, they might call this accessory work. A lot of people do lots and lots of rows, but they do a small number of cleans. We don't do it that way. We do lots of cleans, lots of snatches, and lots of swings. And then the rows are the smaller percentage of the workout because we consider them to be an accessory movement. If you can do cleans, you can do rows, but the other way is not true. Just because you can do rows does not mean you can do cleans. So we always focus on movement patterns more than we focus on something that is just a muscle isolation exercise. That being said, there is always a place for accessory work so that you can get stronger at fundamental things. And we often use rows in my line of work in order to make people wider for camera, but it is an ancillary exercise we teach afterwards. We put it in what we call the pretty section of training instead of the functional section of training. We don't have benches in my space because we don't use them for anything and they're not worth the space and the time to have around. So we either use the floor or we use just rolled up mats or something. So this is going to take the place of a bench in a gym. Anything you have at home which is large and sturdy will work. We are going to set up with this in a very simple way. We're going to have one knee on, one hand on. We're going to point these fingers straight ahead. You will see people, if they're doing it on a bench, turn their hand out. Either is totally acceptable. Straight ahead, lock out this elbow. Thigh should be vertical. This arm should be as vertical as possible. Pretty simple movement. Reach down, grab our kettlebell, 3 hands in the corner of the bell. You could use just a normal dumbbell grip for this, but we always try to stay consistent with what we're doing. And when we are going to activate with our whole body to just bring the kettlebell up off the ground to the floating position, and we are going to draw all the way up. Key thing that we want to avoid here is we don't want to draw up towards our shoulder. You will hear people say they want you to pull all the way to your hip bone. I like to say the space in between the hip bone and the ridge is where your hand should end up. Activate the weight, pull all the way up, down, The main thing that we're worried about here is that at the bottom, we are getting to our full lockout position, and you should see the horseshoe in the back of your arm when your arm becomes all the way straight. You will see people do this and not straighten their arm all the way out. We're not going to do that. We're going to try and keep everything consistent, and we are going to hit a straight arm at the bottom of the movement. This is an exercise for the lat. So when we float the kettlebell off the ground, we are going to do it with our lat, activating our lat, pull our belly button in, rib cage in, and then pull up and down. Once again, our lat is going to stay on the entire time. There are versions of this where people will let their shoulder track out and let go of the lat for a small second so that they can then reinitiate from the lat and pull the shoulder blade back and down. It's up to you which version of that you want to do. But be aware that it's a lat exercise. I like to actually do the let go version and then do the initiation and then the pull each time. Because the initiation is the thing that I care about the most. The initiation is always the thing that I care about the most. This is kind of like a half ab exercise in here. Because it's unstable, anything that's a free weight exercise is kind of a half ab exercise. We are in this supported position, so we are supporting half our body, but as we pull, we are using our core to pull. Think of this as the exact opposite of a floor, kettlebell, bridge, chest press. Your numbers for this can be done any way you want. 3 to 5 for pure strength if you have the weights available to you. A lot of times we use this exercise in the 8 to 12 range when we're training for movies because we're putting this exercise into a pretty category of training, or you can just do it for time under tension and set up a 30-second clock. If you're doing the reps range, then you can do it the bodybuilding way, which is, 4-second contraction, 2-second hold at the top, and a 2-second down, 2-second pause at the bottom, and then do it over, intentionally doing the movement very slow in order to increase the tension on the muscle. Or you set the timer and you do the time under tension and you just do them as fast as you can. 30-second clock to a 90-second clock, and you keep going. That's what you do when you have light weights available to you and not heavy weights. So how you choose these things is always dependent on the weights that you have available to you at any one time. If you are limited to one kettlebell, you will start with 3 to 5, and then you will start adding reps or adding sets until you get to a time under tension frame, and then you can just do time under tension and plug it in different ways. So there's always different ways to program these things, and we can do them any way you want, but the main thing is straight arm at the bottom. Don't be that guy who does that kind of half thing and ends up with some weird injury in their elbow. Super common injury for bodybuilders to have is that one in the elbow from the maintaining tension in all of the movements and not straightening their arms all the way out. Arms straight, probably going to be a healthier option for you in the long run. This has been Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica.